The biggest challenge Steelers defensive line coach John Mitchell might have could be the one sitting in front of him, literally. With Behind the Steel Curtain, I'm Neal Coolong. Daniel McCullers, the Steelers' 6th-round draft pick out of the University of Tennessee, is thought to be the largest defensive lineman the Steelers have ever had. Standing at 6'7" and weighing 355 pounds, his measurements from the NFL Combine this past February, his size clearly is the most noticeable feature about him. But what he brings along with that is incredible length. He has 38-inch arms, which is otherworldly in comparison to most defensive linemen. In fact, guys with the length that McCullers has usually play on the offensive side of the ball. McCullers is raw. He's got issues that he needs to work out, but the reason the Steelers drafted him is due to the large size that he has and their ability to coach him into something of a defensive player that can contribute to this team. John Mitchell is just the guy to do it, and here on John Mitchell Boot Camp, we're going to break him down. This first play from the Tennessee Shade Tree is exactly why you can get excited about him as well as have issues with him. This game against Georgia, you see him right away off the snap. He's able to reach out with the pterodactyl length arms that he has and make contact with the guard without even really having to set his feet. He's up too high, though, and as you see on the play, the guard really can't handle him. McCullers is able to physically overwhelm him and move him where he wants him to go, but at the end of the play, when McCullers sees the running back cut back to his outside, the guard's able to get away with a hold just because McCullers is so much higher up than the guard is, and he yanks him back a little bit, a play that wasn't flagged. Holding happens on every play if you ask most defensive linemen, and it did on this play, but at the same time, McCullers needs to be aware of the power that he can have if he can position his body lower. In this case, because he got up high and the fact that he's just still that much stronger than the guard, he was able to get a win on the play, but at the pro level, he's not going to be able to get away with playing this high. Leverage really is an issue for him, and that's something that John Mitchell is really going to have to work on early and often with McCullers if he does have a shot to make this team. The quickness that McCullers has is impressive considering how big he is, and you can see it on this play here against South Carolina. South Carolina is in a pistol formation, and they run a sprint draw through the A-gap. And watch McCullers, how quickly he gets off the ball and is able to get across the face of the right guard. Because he's able to do that, he moves down a gap and a half from where he started and almost is able to make the play for about a 1-yard gain. That's a long way to move for a guy at 355 pounds. Again, he's probably playing up a little bit too high, but that's going to be a recurring theme in most of the highlights that you watch of him. The key thing, though, is how quick he can get and how well he recognizes this play. He sees it coming, and he's able to get exactly where he's supposed to be and continue to drive forward and, like I said before, almost make the play. Almost doesn't really count for anything, but in this case, all of these things are very coachable, and it's a good raw product for Mitchell to be able to work with if McCullers is able to get lower and utilize the athleticism that he has and make himself into a pretty good player. The third play is against Alabama, and you can see again, Alabama's in the pistol formation this time, and they're going to run an inside zone off to McCullers' left. McCullers is able to recognize that play from the start, but as the running back cuts back, you can see how high, again, he gets. And in this case, he puts a large chunk of his gigantic paw on the running back, but he's up around his shoulder pads. An NFL running back is probably going to be able to run through this fairly easily. You could count this kind of as a success for McCullers in the sense that he did slow the running back down to only get about a 3 or 4 yard gain, but if he's in a more athletic position when he takes on the guard and he is able to engage the running back a little bit lower, he's in more of an athletic position. He can utilize more of his lower body strength, and when he hits a guy that size, that guy's going to fall. There's no doubt. So really the key thing, again, is getting him to bend down, getting him to play in a more competitive manner, and he's going to be able to utilize that size to the fullest extent that he can. It didn't appear really in his tape that he's able to do that, or he has been doing that. So Coach John Mitchell certainly has his work cut out for him, but again, the raw product that he has is intriguing, and that's a big part of the reason why he's the 6th-round draft pick. He's high enough of a pick that you have to be intrigued by the potential that he has, but low enough to think that if he was taken this low with the size that he has, you have to wonder about his overall ability. That's something they're going to have to coach up as training camp approaches. The potential that follows Dan McCullers around is as big as his shadow on his 6'7", 355-pound frame. He's intriguing. he has technical work that he's going to have to iron out if he's going to make any kind of impact, and he's certainly not a lock to make this roster. The Steelers are going to give him every opportunity to do so, though, with a wide-open race, especially at the defensive end positions. If he can show that he's versatile enough to play nose tackle as well as defensive end, he could end up being a late addition to this team. The odds-on favorite right now, though, would be that he spends the year on the practice squad, working diligently to play lower and to utilize his size and his strength to the best of his ability. If he can do that, this is a player that can stick around in this league for a little while. He's certainly not going to get a whole lot smaller if he does, and the length that he possesses really does probably favor him more as a defensive end than a nose tackle. His sheer size, though, will probably put him at a zero technique, at least to start, but this is certainly one player you're going to want to watch this preseason. With Behind the Steel Curtain, I'm Neal Coolong. This is John Mitchell Boot Camp.